Okay, today we are going to start with the flowcharts. Now, what are the flowcharts? In the last class, we discussed about the flow of the programs of, we discussed about the types of the looping. Okay, there are two types of the looping, conditional and conditional. We discussed about the examples कि हमारे पास कौन-कौन से loops इस्तेमाल हो रहे हैं for the conditional looping and the unconditional looping. Now we are coming to the flowcharts. Now, what is the flowchart? As I told you in the top to down structure when you are studying about the SDLC, software development life cycle. So I told you that when it comes to the top to down structure, so it contains the structure diagrams, it contains with the flowcharts, it contains with the pseudocodes and all. Okay. So flowchart, I'll give you a brief description about that as well. That whenever you need to explain any sort of the data to someone, so the easiest way to explain that data or to understand that particular data is with the help of the diagrams. So similarly, we are utilizing the flowcharts over here because the easiest way to represent a program or to make someone else understand about your program is with the help of the diagrams or with the help of a flowchart. Now there are few of the symbols, or you may say there are few of the diagrams that are utilized over here to represent a program. Now what are those? Number one is an oval shape that represents for the start and the end terminator. Okay. Instead of the end, you may write exit as well. No issues with that. Process box, if you need to declare any kind of the variable means those values can be changed. Like for example, if I do ask that your name, is it a variable or is it a constant? Variable, you know, like if you want to change your name, you may easily change your name. You do not change your name, that's up to you. But if you want to, so you can. Your date of birth, constant or variable? Constant, वो constant है आपके पास, ठीक है? Similarly, value of the pi, it's a constant. Speed of the light, it's a constant. So these all are the constant. So if you need to declare any kind of the variable or a constant, you need this process box, or you are applying any kind of the formula. So again, you need this particular process box. Then come with the input output. If you need to have an input from the user or you need to display an output to the user, so you will be utilizing this parallelogram. Flow lines basically represent that where your program or from where to where your program is gonna get flow. Okay. Then we do have the decision box. I'm sorry, I just wrote it afterwards because I just forgot it. I'm sorry about that. Then it comes the page connector. Page connector is something like if it comes with your O-level course, so you are given with a box or a space to make up a flowchart, and you need to make up that particular flowchart in that particular space. But when I say that you need to make up a flowchart, and it's quite long, like it cannot be ended up in a single page. So you need to go to the very next page. So if you need to go to the very next page, so to represent that very next page or to show the connection between those two pages that are just after the other, so we do utilize this dot. We put the dot on the previous page. That means that your flow chart is continued on the very next page. अगर बिल्कुल next page के ऊपर है तो आप ये dot इस्तेमाल करें. Then it's a pentagon, a revert pentagon. That's for the go-to page number. Like again, when it comes to the software development, so we do not have small programs over there. वहाँ छोटे-छोटे programs नहीं होते. We do have a large program. Okay. So for example, if I need to put up the decision box over there, whether I need to go this way or that way, और अगर that way की जो condition है वो आपके पास second page पे नहीं है, the very next page, it's not on the very next page, it's on the 2 or 3 pages later on. तो अगर आपके पास very next page पे कोई document नहीं है and it's 2 or 3 pages forward, so for that you will be utilizing go to page number. Just hold on. So it's go to page number. Okay. Then we do have the built-in function. Now when it comes to the built-in function, so built-in function is regarding the functions that are basically predefined. Now when it comes to the types of the functions, so first of all you need to understand it. Function is something, a variable or a constant that will be doing the task that it is performed to do. Okay. Predefined means that these are the types of functions that are basically designed by the programmers and they are built in the library of your program. Like for example, I do say that I'm going to take the variable for the, I'm going to take the function of mod, mod mod. Now this function mod basically gives you the remainder. It's a built-in function. Like for example, I do write 5 mod 2. So what will be the remainder that I will be getting if I'm going to divide 5 by 2? So what is the remainder that I will be getting? The remainder I will be getting is 1. So this function basically gives me the remainder. And similarly, if I'm going to divide 4 by 2, so obviously remainder will be a 0. Okay. So these are the predefined functions. User-defined functions that are basically designed by the users. So if you are going to utilize any predefined function in your program, so you will be utilizing this rectangular box with two lines inside it. But in your O levels, you are not utilizing the built-in function. Neither you are utilizing the go-to page number, and neither you are utilizing your page connector, because you need to complete the entire flowchart in a given space. Built-in functions will be utilized in AS level. Right now in your O level, if you are having any kind of, or you are utilizing any sort of the built-in function, you will be simply utilizing that in the process box. आप simply उसी function को normal process box के अंदर ही utilize कर लेंगे. They are already built in into the library. They are already stored into the library. Like this, whenever we mod की example दी, या तुमने example सुनी होगी int कोई भी चीज होती है तो उसके अंदर लॉक कर दो. जो भी चीज आपके पास आती है वो आपके पास क्या होता है, इंटीजर, उसकी वैल्यू को इंटीजर में कन्वर्ट कर देगा. और यू में से RAND रैंडम का मतलब क्या होता है, लाइक इफ आई नीड टू गिव इट अ लिमिट, और वो उस लिमिट के अंदर ऑटोमेटिकली खुद ही ऑटोमेटिकली रैंडम नंबर्स को पिक कर लेगा वहां पे. तो ये बिल्ट इन फंक्शंस होते हैं जो आपके पास यूटिलाइज हो रहे होते हैं. ठीक है, am I clear till over here? Any issues still here? ठीक है. Now, if I do come over the types of the flow chart, or you may say types of the program, that how a program flows. So there are basically three patterns in which a normal program flows, and these are sequential, selection, and iteration. Sequential, selection, and the last one is iteration. Iteration is looping as well. Okay.
Sir, how can we copy it? Can you show us?
Yeah, I'm just explaining, and then you can copy this down. Okay. Okay. Now it comes to the types of the flow chart. So you may see sequential. Sequential is something that the tasks are done one after the other. Like I give the example, I think so in the last class as well, like you guys in your O3 right now, and you just pass your O1, then your O2, and then your O3. So one after the other, you are performing a particular step, and now you guys are in your O3, and inshallah you will be moving ahead towards your AS and A2, and then university and so on. So ये आपके पास क्या हो गया, sequential. Selection means you need to put up a decision, or you need to make up a decision whether you need to go this way or you need to go that way. Like for example, you just took a decision in your O levels whether you need, or whether you need to opt for your engineering side, or for the medical side, or for the commerce side, whatsoever. So you made up a decision over there once again. And iteration is something that you are particularly repeating that task again and again until a particular number of the times are being done, or until a condition is fulfilled. जिस तरह हमने conditional और unconditional looping के अंदर बात की थी. Okay. Now, if you may see that for the sequential, it's a program given over here. Write a program that prints sum of two user input numbers. Now there are two numbers that are basically given input by a user. A program is you may say that it is instructed that program should be taking the numbers from the user. अब इसको करने का तरीका क्या है आप लोगों के पास? I just start up my program, and first of all I need to declare the variables. Now I took a variable sum, and the initial value for sum is 0, because obviously if I'm going to add up anything in that, so मेरे पास फिर 0 के अलावा कोई भी और value आ सकती है. I haven't placed a value for num1 and num2. Num1 and num2 basically are the two variables that will be containing the values that are given input by a user. Okay. So just after that I have placed an input box, क्योंकि मैं input ले रहा हूँ यहाँ पे from the user, input num1 num2. Then obviously I placed up a sum formula, sum equals to num1 plus num2, and finally I give an output as a sum, और मेरे पास ये program and ये exit जिस तरह भी आप इसको लिखना चाहें. ठीक है. So ये मेरे पास क्या हुआ, sequential का program था, one after the other. मैंने पहले input लिया, formula लगाया, output लिया, और मैंने उस output को print करवा. तो मेरे पास one after the other एक करके steps perform हो रहे थे. But when it comes to the selection, is this clear? Sequential is clear to all? Hassan, Rayan, Sharam, clear beta? Anyan, okay. Now when it comes to the selection, so selection part says that you need to make up a program that determines whether the user's input number, again we are liable that you should take input number from the user. Okay, that is it odd or even. Now how are we going to do that? I just start my program, I declare up the variable num. Okay, I may declare the variable A, B, or C as well, or with any sort of the name. But the examiner says that use meaningful variables and proper prompts. Now, what do you mean? That for example, meaningful variable mean that they should be having a particular meaning regarding. Okay, so अब मुझे num की value input करानी थी, तो इसलिए मैंने क्या कर दिया, नम कर दिया, ठीक है, जस्ट होल्ड ऑन। Okay, so and proper prompt means that proper prompt is something that you should be utilizing the proper sentences and all. इसके marks होते हैं बकायदा तौर पे. So you should use the proper variables as well as the proper prompts as well. So I then input the num. Now I just placed up a condition over here. If num mod 2. Now what do you mean by num mod 2? Mod, as I told you just right now, that mod is a particular function that is going to give me the remainder. Now I do say if num mod 2 equals to 0. Now what do you mean by double equals to over here? Double equals to means that we are having a comparison over here. Num mod 2, like for example, I placed up 21 in the num. So num mod 2, what will be the remainder that I will be getting? 21 divided by 2, what will be the remainder I will be getting? 1. Sorry. 1. Okay. So 1 is 1 equals to 0. I'm asking, is 1 equals to 0? No. Okay. So if it's a no, so obviously it's an odd number. 1 बराबर नहीं है 0 के, तो ये odd number हो गया आपके पास. रिमाइंडर में 0 नहीं बच रहा. It says के रिमाइंडर में आपके पास क्या बचना चाहिए? To have a condition fulfilled for the even, रिमाइंडर में 0 बचना चाहिए आपके पास. लेकिन 21 में रिमाइंडर आपके पास क्या बच रहा है? 1. You are getting a 1 as a remainder over here. So obviously it's an odd number. अगर even होगा,
Sir, so mod,
odd हो रहा है
sir,
तो
mod means division by 2.
yeah, now you can say.
Sir, mod means dividing. In mod we have to divide the number by 2.
Mod means basically you are getting the remainder after the division. The function
Okay.
of the mod basically gives you the remainder. Okay.
Okay.
Is this clear? Is this selection? Basically आपके पास उससे डिवाइड होके जो भी नंबर है उससे डिवाइड होके आपके पास जो है वो आपको रिमाइंडर दे रहा होगा. मॉड की वैल्यू गिवन होगी मॉड 3 के साथ. ये तो देखो आप उसने फंक्शन मुझे ऐसा प्रोग्राम ऐसा दिया था, सिनेरियो ऐसा था कि मुझे हम नॉर्मली अपनी जिंदगी में किस तरह से देखते हैं whether a number is odd or even. We do say that if it's completely divisible by 2, it's an even number, and if it's not, so it's an odd number. यही बात बोलते हैं, इसीलिए मैंने यहाँ पे 2 लिया है. अच्छा, जैसे कंडीशन हो सकती है कि आपके पास कंडीशन क्या है, लाजमी नहीं है, कोई भी नंबर 3 4 2 डिपेंड करता है ना आपके पास किस तरह की कंडीशन आ रही है आपके पास. ये तो मैंने एक सिनेरियो आपको दे दिया था. इवन ऑड की कंडीशन नहीं होगी यहाँ, वो इवन ऑड की नहीं होगी, तो इवन ऑड की थी तो इसलिए मैंने यहाँ पे लगा दिया. ठीक है. Now I do come with the iteration. Iteration means looping. एक काम करो, पहले इन दोनों को कॉपी कर लो and then we can move ahead, otherwise they all will jumble up in your mind. So just copy this down first and then we can move ahead. As soon as you are done with the first program, let me know so that I can come up with the second one.
Done, sir.
Make sure you are making the diagrams properly because you are having the marks for the diagrams as well. एक बात बताए, मिस्टर आई की सवाल आएगा क्या मतलब के ये एक छोटा सा सिनेरियो था, अब सवाल जिस तरह के आएंगे वो मैं बताता हूँ सही.
Sir, I'm done with it.
Okay. Here you go with the second one. Second वाला copy करो. Selection. With the first one, all of you are done. Arshman. Obviously. देखो जब भी नॉट नीड टू हैव अ रटा फॉर दैट, जब भी कोई डिसीजन लेना है ना सिंपली आपका डिसीजन बॉक्स के लिए ये वाला आपके पास चलेगा. Copy.
Yes, sir.
Copy down. Now we are coming to the last part that's known as the iteration. अच्छा iteration इस थोड़ा सा ध्यान से समझना. Okay. Now it says do write a program that prints sum of first 10 odd numbers. You basically need to have first 10 odd numbers and you need to have the sum of all of them. अब ये बात नहीं बोल रहा that the user is going to input the values. Now what are the first 10 odd numbers? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 and so on till 19. ठीक है? You cannot just feed these numbers or a user cannot input these values. Your program should be that much efficient कि खुद ही generate करे अगला odd number और automatically उसके ऊपर काम करे. So how are you gonna do that? मैं पहला odd number बता दूंगा प्रोग्राम को, बाकी सारे उसने खुद जज करने के कौन सा आएगा, अब इसके बाद कौन सा आएगा, इसके बाद कौन सा आएगा, उनको सबको जनरेट करवा के इट्स गोइंग टू गिव अ सम आउट ऑफ इट. ठीक है. नाउ यू मे सी मैंने किया क्या है यहाँ पे. आई जस्ट स्टार्ट द प्रोग्राम. आई सेट सम is 0. The initial value for sum is 0. The initial value for num is 1. Now num is the first odd number over here. Okay. Sum is something that it will be containing the sum of all the 10 odd numbers. And finally it comes with the count. Count is initially 1. Now what do you mean by the count? count is something that how many times your loop has been executed, कितनी दफा आपका loop execute हुआ है. So I put the initial value for the count equals to 1. Now I just have simply 3 steps in it. Sum equals to sum plus num equals to num plus 2, count equals to count plus 1. These are the simple steps over here. किस तरह से काम करें मैं भी बता रहा हूँ. Then I just said if count is less than or equal to 10. So when my first time the program is going to execute, so count will be equals to count plus 1. So initial value count की मेरे पास क्या थी? Count की initial value 1 थी. So 1 plus 1. When the first time program is executed, the updated value for the count will be 2. Is it so? Now it will come over here. If count is less than or equal to 10, is it less than 10? So it's going to repeat itself. Okay. As soon as it's going to be greater than 10, that means the value of the count will be 11. जैसी होगी 11 होगी, it's going to give the output sum. Now how it's working over here? उसने बोला less than or equal to 10. अगर equal to 10 हो गया तब भी तो घूम रहा है वापस. Equal to 10 के ऊपर ही वापस चला जाएगा. देखो किस तरह से कर रहा है.
तो सर काउंट मोर देन 10 कैसे होगा?
देखते हैं ना. देखो pass 1 means when it's executed first time. So I'm not writing that entire sum. I'm just taking the initials for that. S equals to s plus n. That means sum equals to sum plus num. First of all, sum की initial value मेरे पास क्या थी? 0. And the initial value for the num is 1. So the updated value when the first time program is executed, the updated value for sum will be 1. Okay. Now num is something num plus 2. The initial value for num was 1. Plus 2, why I have done plus 2 over here? Because each time I am going to have a plus 2 in the last one, it will give me the very next odd number. Right. So 1 plus 2 will give me a 3. So first time when the program is executed, the updated value for num will be 3. जब हो चुका होगा execute उसके बाद. Count plus 1. So 1 plus 1, the updated value will be 2. Is count less than or equal to 10? Yes. So it will repeat itself. Now pass 2. Second time जब आपके पास program चला. Now sum equals to sum plus n. What was the last updated value for the sum? 1. So 1 plus, what's the last updated value for num? 3. Num. So 1 plus 3 will give you the value for 4. Num equals to num plus 2. So the last value for num was 3 plus 2. Very good, Rehan. 5. सही है. Now this time the value for count will be count plus 1. So it will be 2 plus 1 this time, and it will be giving you the value for 3. Pass 1 के ऊपर count की value क्या हो रही है? 2. Pass 2 पे count की value 3. Count एक आगे चल रहा है आपके पास. ठीक है. Now pass 3. That means the program has been executed third time. What will be the value for sum? Tell me directly. 4. Very good. 4 plus 5. 4 for the last value for the sum was 4. And num की last value क्या थी आपके पास? 5. So 4 plus 5 equals to 9. Now updated value for num will be 7. Last value क्या थी? 5 plus 2 हो जाएगा 7. This time the value for the count will be कितनी रहेगी? 4 हो जाएगी. Great. ठीक है. So count 3 के ऊपर वैल्यू क्या हो रही है? काउंट की सॉरी पास 3 पे काउंट की वैल्यू क्या हो रही है? 4. अगर सम नहीं डालते तो भी सेम होगा ना? नहीं, अगर सम नहीं डालते तो सम कैसे आता ऑड नंबर्स का? सम ये आ रहा है. उसने आउटपुट सम मांगे. राइट अ प्रोग्राम दैट प्रिंट्स सम ऑफ फर्स्ट एंड ऑड नंबर्स. ठीक है. बेसिकली हमें सम ही तो निकालना है. अब जब मैं पास 10 के ऊपर आऊंगा, दैट मींस व्हेन आई एम एग्जीक्यूटिंग द 10 टाइम, व्हाट विल बी द वैल्यू फॉर काउंट ओवर हियर? 11. So now it says if count less than or equal to 10, so you will be saying no. क्या बोलेंगे आप? It's a no. तो आउटपुट सम जो कुछ भी सम की वैल्यू होगी, like for example on the third pass the value for the sum was 9। तो अब जब 10 टाइम के ऊपर 10 पास के ऊपर जो कुछ भी वैल्यू होगी सम की, that will be printed over. Is it clear? Any issues?
Yes. No.
Sorry. As you are done, you may leave the class, as this is the last thing that we are going to do today. Thank you so much.
Sir, can you show the whole flow chart?
Yeah, obviously.